welcome in to another crochet tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to make this flat beaded bracelet. Now there's many ways of finishing it off by putting different clasps on, but I have added where you can adjust it, so that's not going to come off now until I pull it. So I'll show you how to do this closure at the end, and this was made using Drops cotton and by making use of Happy Mail beads which were sent to me from over the pond. Now this bracelet, it is not the designer is not who inspired me to make it, but the person who did is somebody called Jane. Her channel, Jane vs Pain, I will link down below. It's her who inspired me and showed me how to make this, and it is so easy when you get going. It can be a little fiddly, but what I suggest is that you make it with as small a thread as possible. These are glass 6/0 beads, but for this example I'm going to show you how to make a larger form so that you can actually see where I am going. Now for this I'm going to be using Hipster cotton. You're going to need a pair of scissors. You're going to need beads. Now these were supplied by Nana Michelle in another Happy Mail. I'll link her down below as well. And how you get the beads onto your wool is up to you. I am going to be using one of these, which is a split beading needle. But how you put them on is completely down to you. For me, this is cheating, but heck, cheating is easy, right? Now, I am going to be using 2 different colours of beads so that you can see the difference. In the original, I used 3 different colours, and for my actual bracelet I used 2 and had either side. But I suggest giving it a practice run first, but I will come back to you momentarily after I have threaded a few of these onto the wool. Well, okay, I now have 10 beads on my wool, which is more than enough for this demonstration. With this particular bracelet, I did use a smaller bead, so it's going to be a little bit tighter than my demonstration. But here I used 45 beads, which was actually a little bit too much even for me and my big hands, because depending on the clasp you use, you need to possibly leave a little bit left over. Now, the ways you can finish, this is a cat collar that was made especially for Beanie by Jane. This is a lobster clasp and ring. Same principle, lobster clasp and ring, but there's metal clamp to really hold in that wool. There's a T-bar that can be used. Now I'm not showing you any of these. I will show you the adjustable when we get there. But what I'm showing you, because these are slightly bigger beads, it will be looser than this, because it is pretty good with tightening itself. If you follow the instructions, it should be all good. Now that first bead is going to look a little odd, because that first bead is always without its opposition, where the rest will follow suit with each other. There'll always be one that's a little bit on its own, but don't worry about that. Now, I'm going to be using my Gelina hook, and let's get going. So we are not doing a slip stitch. Instead, we are going under and twisting all the way around, and then, oops, pulling through. Okay, I will show you that again, but at least there's no knot there. You don't want any knots. So let me show you one more time. Yes, I know you could pause this and go back and do it, but I'm going to show you just for emphasis. So, in, all the way around, grab your working yarn and pull through. Now, however you start this, you can start it with a little bit of a chain. So you've got a little bit at the start, and then you might want to end with a little bit of a chain. So to make it symmetrical, chain front and back. But for this demonstration, I'm going to go straight into it. So the first thing that you do after here is you bring up your first bead right up to the hook. Next, yarn over and pull through for a slip stitch or a chain, however you want to call it. Next, from here, we are going to go into the space between the bead and the wool. So in, yarn over as if you were doing a single crochet, but pause when you have 2 loops on your hook. Bring up another bead. Bring it right up to the hook. Yarn over and pull through. Yep. And I will admit the first proper bead that you do is always really tight. After that, it gets really easy, but that first one is always really tight. Yes, it can be a pain to get in. As you're seeing, I'm having to do it again. But once you've done it, it's done. So, and that doesn't matter whether you're using smaller or larger thread. Now, from here, the pattern will repeat from here. Always have your latest bead facing your dominant hand. And twist the one before that to your non-dominant hand. So from here, we are going into the previous, in between the bead and the yarn, in, yarn over, pull through, 2 loops on your hook. When you have 2, bring up a bead. Bring it right to the hook, yarn over and pull through. So I've just put this one on. It is now facing my dominant hand, and the previous is facing my non-dominant. We're going into that previous between the bead and the chain, in, yarn over, pull through, 2 loops on your hook. bring up a bead, right to the hook, yarn over and pull through and twist. So that's my latest. That was the previous. We're going into the previous. In, yarn over, pull through, 2 loops on your hook, bring up a bead. Bring it right to the hook, yarn over, pull through, twist. That's the one that I've just put on. I'm going into the previous. Going in, yarn over, pull through, whoops, keep dropping it, 2 loops on my hook, bring up a bead, hold it to the hook, yarn over and pull through. There's my previous, but you see it's not matching up because I need to twist. I would highly suggest the first time you give this a go to do it with 2 colours and alternate them on your thread, because then you can actually see what's going on. So if I show you that again, we're going in between the bead and the chain, yarning over, 2 loops on the hook, bring up a bead, bringing up the green, right to the hook, yarn over, pull through. Now you see that's the latest one we've done, but it doesn't match up because we need to twist. Okay, each time we're going into the previous bead, between the bead and the chain of the bracelet, yarn over, pull through as if to do a single crochet, bring the bead up, hold it to the hook, yarn over, pull through, twist. That twist will help tighten up your beads as well. In, yarn over, bring up a bead, yarn over, twist. Let's do one more to finish off this demonstration. And there we go. And you keep on going for as long as you need. When you're finished, take your scissors and cut wherever you need. Now, remember, this is only a demonstration, so obviously this isn't a full bracelet. But let's say this is your full bracelet. Make sure, obviously, it goes around your wrist, and then lay it so that one end goes down, one end goes up, but they meet. Now, this is where I'm going to use a different colour to the one that is here, because I want to show you a little bit better how to close. So bear with me a moment. Okay, so going to use something that is a different colour so you can see. Just move the scissors. Now, if you take a length of your thread, about 30 centimetres, you won't need it all, but about 30 you'll be safe. Fold it in half, and then with that loop, put it over the top of your bracelet. Now I'll get in close for this. Put it over the top. Oops. 2 separate threads. Now, this one goes over the top of this, under your bracelet, and then through the loop. Now this will be to make the adjustable part of the closing, just so you know what I'm going on about. And now when you're here, take this one, oops, wrong one, sorry, take this one, make sure there's a loop and it goes over the top of your bracelet. And yes, this is macrame, this is not crochet. Learn a new skill. So this one will now go over, under, and through the loop. Okay. Oops. Make that loop. This one goes over, under the bracelet, through the loop. And make sure it catches both ends. If you can pin your work down onto something, not your leg, that's not a suggestion, it would aid you enormously. Oh no, this one. So you're working opposite. You work with this one, then you work with this one, then you work with this one. But make that loop. Then the top one will go over the thread, under your bracelet, and through the loop. So it's over, under, through each time, and you literally keep going as long as you need. A good for a smaller bracelet, a good centimetre is a nice amount to do this. If you're using a larger bracelet, probably about 1/2 inch. Over, under, through. One last one just to show you. Make your loop. This one will go over, under, and through. And then when you're finished, it's up to you whether you do a little knot or whether you put a little charm on. For mine, I added one of each bead that I used in the actual bracelet on the ends. It's up to you how you end it, but make sure you cut it afterwards, of course. Now, one tip I can give you is when you have added your bead or your charm or whatever you want to use, and you've cut it to a good length, so of course I wouldn't want it that long, but still, when you've got it to a length that you like, super glue is one way of holding that knot. Fabric glue will disintegrate after a short while, especially when it's against your skin and getting washed and chemical all over it on a regular basis. Super glue works wonders, but obviously don't overdo it. But just a little drop over that knot will work wonders. And that's the only time where you need a knot. When you've finished off your little clasp, your adjustment, that's when you put on a little bit of super glue. But of course, if you're using one of the other ways, either lots and lots of knots work, or knots and super glue as an added reinforcement. However you want to do it, get to it. Little bit of crochet, little bit of macrame, make something pretty. Enjoy. Hopefully you give it a go, and maybe I might see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.